Over a decade ago, if you had asked me what I wanted to spend money on, my answer would have been very different than what it is today. Back in college, I loved shopping clothes, shoes, accessories, you name it. If I had extra money in my pocket, chances are I was headed to the mall. In fact, I remember one year getting a tax refund for around $1,400, and that was very much at the time for me. And I remember spending every single dollar on shopping. I came home with bags and bags of clothes. And here's the crazy part. At some point, I accidentally threw away one of those bags without realizing there was still a dress inside it. Literally, money in the trash. At the time, it didn't seem like a big deal. I mean, I was focused on having the newest outfit, the cutest shoes, and things that just made me feel good in the moment. But as I've gotten older and have gone through some traumatic financial experiences, something has shifted. Today, if you gave me $1,400 and told me I had to spend it on either a shopping spree or a trip somewhere, I would choose the trip every single time. And not because clothes are bad, not because spending is bad, but because I have learned that some purchases just continue to add value to your life long after the money is gone. And for me, experiences almost always fall into that category. In today's episode, I want to talk about why experiences are worth budgeting for and why they often bring more joy than material things. What research actually says about that, and how to think about spending money on experiences without feeling guilty. Okay, so first things first, experiences give you something that material things can't. I think one of the biggest differences between experiences and material purchases is that experiences become a part of your story. They become a part of your journey through life. Think about some of your favorite memories. Maybe it's a vacation, a concert, a girls' trip, a family tradition, or just some special event. You probably remember where you were, who you were with, what you laughed about, and how it made you feel. Now, think about a shirt you bought 3 years ago. Can you even remember it? Maybe, but most likely no. So, in other words, experiences continue paying out emotional dividends long after the experience is over. And when I think about my own life, that's exactly what I've found to be true for me. I have been fortunate enough to travel to places like Thailand and the Virgin Islands with my girlfriends. I have traveled inside and outside of the United States with my fiance. And every single trip has given me memories, stories, lessons that I still carry with me today. And reminiscing with my friends or my fiance or my family on just those moments is literally priceless. Now, on the flip side, I couldn't tell you where half of my old clothes have ended up. Actually, I can. They were donated, but I can tell you stories from almost every single trip I've taken. Those experiences are just ingrained in my memory, and they probably always will be. Interestingly, though, this isn't just my experience. Psychologist Thomas Gilvovich at Cornell University has spent years studying how people spend money, and his research has found that experiences tend to bring people more lasting happiness than material purchases. And I think one reason for that is because experiences become a part of us. We relive them, we talk about them, and we attach memories to them in a way that is a lot harder to do with a new pair of shoes or a new outfit. So, the next thing is experiences often strengthen relationships. I think another reason why experiences feel so valuable is because they usually involve other people. So, for me, one of the most meaningful purchases on experiences I make every single year actually isn't on a trip or a vacation. It's my Dallas Cowboys season tickets. So, my dad had those tickets for years. And as far back as I can remember, which is around 1997, he took my brother and I to the games every single year. Now, that was back at the old Stadium in Irving. So, that's a long time ago. But when my dad passed away, my brother and I took over the season tickets. So now every season, we continue that tradition together. If you looked at it purely through a financial lens, someone might say those tickets are expensive. And they're right, those tickets are not cheap by any means. But some things can't be measured only by dollars. For me and for my brother, those tickets represent memories, they represent connection, time together, a piece of my dad. And I tear up just thinking about it. And that's worth every penny to me. So I think that is a great reminder that money isn't just about numbers. It's also about what those numbers make possible for ourselves and for the people we love. So I tie those Cowboys tickets to my dad and my brother, but in full transparency, those tickets have allowed me to take my fiance, my girlfriends, clients, people in my life to the games. So not only is it something that started with my dad, but it's expanded into other relationships in my life. Again, making those tickets absolutely priceless. Next thing, experiences help you clarify what you value. So, one thing that I have noticed over the years is that traveling has completely changed the way I think about spending money. The more I traveled, the less interested I became in constantly buying things. And not because suddenly I became a minimalist. I mean, trust me, I still have way more shoes than I need, but I started realizing something. I personally would rather have another trip on the calendar than another pair of shoes in my closet. I would rather explore a new city than buy another outfit. I'd rather create memories than accumulate more stuff. And I don't think I would have discovered that about myself if I really hadn't invested in those experiences early on. So I'm just grateful that I started traveling early enough to figure that out. In fact, my fiance, who at the time was my boyfriend, he and I took our first international trip together a little over a year into our relationship. And this was actually a big trip. We went on a Mediterranean cruise that sailed out of Venice, Italy. So we traveled from LA to Moscow to Venice, hopped on the cruise ship, which took us to Bari, Italy, Istanbul and Izmir, Turkey, Greece, and Croatia. Thinking about it now, that was a really big trip for some 23-year-olds who had never traveled together. But you know what? No regrets. It taught us a lot about ourselves and our relationship, but that's neither here nor there. Traveling has given me something that I wasn't expecting, and that is perspective. It reminded me that there are different ways to live, there are different priorities, different cultures, and different definitions of success. Every trip that I have taken has expanded my view of the world a little bit more. And if you want to hear more about my travel experiences, definitely check out podcast episode number 143, My Travel Bucket List and Destination Experiences. I'll link to it in the show notes. But sometimes you have to experience something before you realize how much you value it. So, for some people, like me, that's obviously travel, but for others, it might be concerts, sporting events, family experiences, hobbies, conferences, or personal development. I think the point isn't that everyone should spend money exactly the same way. The point is figuring out what genuinely brings value to your life. Next thing, experiences don't have to be expensive. Now, before anyone thinks I'm saying you need to spend thousands of dollars on travel to be happy, let me just stop you right there. That is not the lesson here. That is not what I am trying to say. The lesson here is intentional spending. Some of the best experiences I've had were not expensive whatsoever. Maybe it was a weekend trip to stay with my best girlfriends in Dallas. That's just a 2.5 hour drive from Austin, and I stayed with them. Maybe it has been family and clients coming into Austin and spending time with them. It's been a beautiful sunset, a walk through a new or familiar city from my childhood, or just a day exploring somewhere I've never been. So I want to make it clear the price tag is not what creates the memory. The experience creates the memory. I think that's a really important distinction because some people use money as an excuse. They say things like, well, I'll just travel when I make more money, or I'll just enjoy my life when I get out of debt, or I'll start creating memories later. I got to work right now. And while there is definitely some truth to those things, life is happening right now. You can absolutely prioritize your financial goals while still making room for experiences that matter. In fact, that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I teach. A budget should not eliminate joy from your life. It should actually help you plan for it. Okay, final thing. Stop feeling guilty about spending your money on what matters. One of the biggest struggles I see with women is guilt. Guilt for spending, guilt for enjoying money, guilt for taking a vacation, guilt for buying tickets to see Beyonce, guilt for doing something fun just because they want to. And while I certainly don't think every purchase deserves a free pass, I mean, I am a money coach who specializes in budgeting, I do think there is a huge difference between mindless spending and intentional spending. If you've planned for it, if it aligns with your values, if it fits within your financial goals, why are you apologizing for it? Why are you feeling guilty for it? Money is a tool, and the purpose of saving money is not to sit there and stare at it in your account forever, right? Like, we don't need to just see the account balance there forever. The purpose is to eventually use it for things that matter. And for a lot of us, experiences matter. So, if you can't tell by now, when I look back on my life, the things that stand out the most are not the shopping trips. They're the experiences, the vacations, the memories with my friends, the time spent with my family, the traditions with my brother, the moments that made me laugh, grow, learn, and just appreciate the people around me. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I believe experiences are usually always worth budgeting for. And I want to just repeat this. This does not mean material things are bad, right? This does not mean you should never buy something nice for yourself because that's not the case. But because experiences just seem to have this unique way of enriching your life long after the money is spent. So I really want you to think through what matters to me. Do I want to relive joyous moments, or do I want to look at what I value? So I leave you with this. If you had $1,000 today, would you spend it on something you'll own or something you'll remember? Let me ask that again. If I gave you $1,000 today, would you spend it on something you will own or something you'll remember? Your answer might tell you a lot about what you truly value, and once you know what you value, you can start building a budget that reflects it. Because financial freedom is not just about having money. It's about using your money in a way that creates a life that you are so excited to live.